Hi, welcome to Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. This is Christine. I'm going to make a card with a wave stencil that magically moves. So the first thing I'm doing is using some Lawn Fawn acetate, and I haven't seen much written about it or it being used, but it is fantastic. It is the best acetate out there to heat emboss on. You can put your heat gun full on it and it doesn't warp at all. I was absolutely amazed. So I knew at some point I had to make a project with it. So here today I'm using the Miss Ink wave stencil. Today's project is a collaboration between Miss Ink and Trinity Stamps. And I love the new stencils that Miss Ink just came out with. So I knew I had to make some ocean scenes. So here I'm just using some purple tape to tape down the stencil to the acetate. And I'm going to then use Versamark ink directly on the stencil and acetate. And you want to get some good coverage, so I'm really pressing it in there. And you don't really want to smush it. You want to just full on press on, because otherwise you'll get it won't stay in the lines. It'll go a little bit all over. And so I have to say I didn't use a powder tool, but when I have, it didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference, so I stopped using it. So I'm having a little difficulty taking it off the paper, but I put a piece of paper underneath so I could catch all the embossing powder. So for this one, I'm going to actually use Wow embossing glitter under the sea. And it's such a pretty color. So I'm applying it generously all over to make sure. Probably emptied out half the container in the process. And you can see not a whole lot sticks elsewhere. And when I have used a powder tool, I got some sticking. So here you just use a brush and you just sort of wipe away everything that you don't want prior to heat embossing it. And so I actually ended up making about 4 panels. And here I'm using my heat gun. I'm getting it nice and hot, and you'll be able to see that I've just put it full on and there's no issue at all. It's absolutely amazing. So I've made 3 other panels because I wasn't sure what color would go best with this. I knew I wanted to use this color. So I don't show those 3 other panels, but you'll see one of them come up because I felt that worked best. And I used Wow Powder Oceanic for that panel. So those 2 Wow Powders, and you'll see I kind of you can move it back and forth. And here's another card that I was working on, and I'm going to do some Copic coloring. And this is from the Ocean Reef Builder. I love that little dolphin. And then I have a mermaid sitting there, and that is from Mermaid Wishes by Trinity Stamps. So I'm just doing some really simple Copic coloring using V20 and V22 for the dolphin. And I'll use a bunch of colors for the mermaid. What I was going to say is I only have 1 panel that you'll see me use, even though I made 4. I fussy cut the acetate panels so that they would slide back and forth. And I'm just going to save the other panels. I may use them for something else. So here I'm coloring the mermaid hair with Y11 and YR21 and a white gel pen. And it didn't come out as great as I wanted. definitely flicking helps create the hair. And I'm sorry for my own hair in there, but I tried to stay as far away as possible, but I do need to see too. So, and then for the skin, I usually use E000. I love that color for the skin. And it's just simple. I don't have a lot of Copic markers, so I actually, if I need more saturation in an area, I just keep going over the area till it's more saturated than other areas, and it does provide, a little differentiation. So, um, I would love to grow my Copic marker collection, but right now this is what I have, so I kind of use what I have. And I use the same colors for the top of her little swimsuit, V20 and V22. And then I'm going back in the hair because I just can't leave it alone. And you won't see me use the white gel pen. I have to get really in there and see, so it's a little difficult for me to do that on camera. And for her mermaid tail, I'm using BG49 and BG45. And again, I'm not doing three coloring. I just sort of blend it all out until, you know, it looks smooth. And it just requires my using the lighter color quite a bit more, and I'm okay with that because I just don't have the in-between color. To provide some differentiation between the colors. So you just have to work a little harder with the lighter one, which I'm okay with. And one thing I wanted to show on here, and I'm partly off camera, I'm trying to keep it on, but since I fussy cut these images, you want to make sure and go around the image, the entire image with a black marker so that you don't see any white lines from the fussy cutting, because even if you cut it as close as you possibly can, like I did here, the white will show up a little bit, so this provides just a finished look. So I'm just going around and, you know, so you don't see any white marks. And it's hard to compare the before and after, but I feel it really makes a difference. So I'm doing the same with the mermaid, just kind of go around and get all the edges. And you just want to do the side of the image like I'm doing here, rather than full on, because then, your black marker might bleed. And sorry for my hair again. So here I'm starting to do the white gel pen, and then I realized with the hair it was very hard to see, so I've turned the camera off. Alright, so now here I want to stamp my sentiment, and I had to be creative because I actually don't have white embossing powder. So I had to stamp in Hero Arts Unicorn White, and then heat emboss. I have a satin white, but it's not very white. It doesn't come out as clear as white embossing powder would. So I stamped with white, and since this is a pigment ink, it stays on top and it stays wet for a bit, so you can, directly put the powder on top. So this is Hero Arts Satin White. It's a pearly white, and it's not, very strong on dark cardstock. So, goes to show you, if you don't have exactly what you need, just try to be creative and hopefully what you have in your stash will work. So I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. So here it is. It's kind of pearly, but it's since we stamped in white, it shows up enough. So here I'm just finishing up this card. And I'm going to put a few Nuvo drops just for the appearance of water splashes. And there's one finished card. The highlight of this video is definitely not this card. It's a different card that was a little bit more complicated. So here I cut a frame out of white cardstock, and I've already fussy cut, I've glued the bottom of the frame on, and I fussy cut both acetate pieces. And I want the acetate pieces to move over each other, and I'm going to have the mermaid there, and as you can see, I want then to have a pull tab and have, the water move. I thought that would be really cool. So all I did was glue an acetate piece along the back of one of the fussy cut heat embossed acetate pieces and glued that on. And then you need to provide a little height so that the piece can move. So I've used foam pieces to keep the tabs in place so the acetate won't move all over. And then I've also applied foam to the frame so to give it a little extra height. So here here's the finished piece. I actually did add a different die cut on top, as you'll see in the final photo, but it moves back and forth and the tabs are on the side, and I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. So thank you for stopping by. Have a nice day.